Well, good afternoon, Alicia. The briefing is expected to start around about 5:30. That's when we expect the board members of the Thabo Mbeki Foundation to address the media. We expect the former president, Thabo Mbeki, also to be addressing the media. We've spotted Bragelia Bam, who's of course the chairperson of the foundation, as well as Aziz Pahat, who's among those who are currently in a meeting that's currently taking place right behind us. And of course, after that, we expect that press briefing to be taking place. And you heard earlier on from Crisalda Lewis speaking about Governor Mbeki's relationship with Ahmed Kathrada, and something quite interesting, I guess, would be the anecdotes that will come from Thabo Mbeki himself about his relationship with Ahmed Kathrada. You'd also remember that during the first parliament, the first cabinet, the first parliament to sit post 1994, Ahmed Kathrada was a member of parliament and later resigned in 1997. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what Thabo Mbeki has to tell us about this struggle veteran. But early on, the foundation released a statement, and in that statement, something that struck me is that it says that the ideals which Kathrada fought for have not been achieved as yet, and it reminded me of the session, or the tribute session, that was taking place at the Nelson Mandela Foundation earlier on, where Silwa Hadang, the CEO of the foundation, spoke about some of those ideals, which of course include the issue around fees. And Ahmed Kathrada was heavily involved in around the campaigns around fees must fall, and there have been calls also from those other people at the Nelson Mandela Foundation who were speaking there, that the youth should stand up and the youth should make sure that they lead in making sure that we achieve the ideals that Ahmed Kathrada fought for.
Aldrin, look, you've been out the entire day now speaking to various people that have been sending their condolences to the Kathrada family. What were some of their messages, and who did you exactly speak to throughout the course of today?
Well, a whole host of people, actually. Even if you look on social media, for instance, I've opened a section on my Twitter account that totally focuses on hashtag Ahmed Kathrada, which has been trending since yesterday. Because remember that yesterday, it was around about this time that we received the media statement from the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation indicating that his health has deteriorated, and I guess many were hoping that he will recover from that. And I was saying earlier on as well that, the press briefing that was set up by the Nelson Mandela Foundation, which took place around about 10 o'clock this morning, was actually a press briefing that was supposed to give us an update on Ahmed Kathrada's health. Unfortunately, though, he passed away around about 3:45 earlier this morning, in the early hours of this morning. And that session turned into a tribute and a whole host of anecdotes, people speaking about their interactions with Ahmed Kathrada and what it's meant to them. And something that stands out is, if you listen to Barbara Masikela's anecdotes, is that when she started off giving her tribute, she stood in front of the podium and she said that, sometimes when you give, when you pay tribute to someone who has passed on, you tend to speak about yourself. But you speak about yourself because of the impact that that particular person has had in your life, and that person in this case is Ahmed Kathrada. We spoke to George Bezos, Advocate George Bezos, who was the counsel in the Rivonia trial, and he spoke about the moment when the prosecutors were trying to strike a deal with Kathrada, and he made it clear that, listen, I am not going to give you any information that would lead to a conviction of my fellow comrades. Even when George Bezos says that Kathrada was advised to take his conviction under appeal, but he decided not to do that because he wants to go to prison with his leaders, those who have been convicted, of course, including Governor Mbeki and former President Nelson Mandela. But I think something else that we need to speak of is, there's been these reports around the Kathrada family having barred President Jacob Zuma from speaking at the funeral. And even if you look at the statement that the presidency issued earlier on, that statement indicates that it is former president, or rather not former president, Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa will be leading that service, as indicated in the package that you just played from Mzwandile Mbeche. And that's something quite interesting, because when I spoke to the CEO of the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation, he indicated that there is no information of that sort, so he can't confirm whether indeed the family has said that President Jacob Zuma is not welcome to speak at this funeral. And it takes you back to the funeral of this former sports minister, Makenkisi Stomfile, as well, where the family there had also indicated that they do not want President Jacob Zuma to speak there, and Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa was asked to go and lead the service there.
Aldrin, very quickly before I let you go, we do know that Mr. Kathrada was actually very, very pivotal in creating the ex-political prisoners forum, particularly the Robben Island prisoners, and he even planned a reunion at some time last year. Have you met any of such these people at this gathering?
Actually, one of the first people that I spoke to earlier this morning was Mpho Masemola, who's the Deputy Secretary General of the Ex-Political Prisoners Association. And he spoke about this Ahmed Kathrada that he met. He says that at the time he was a young political prisoner. This is Mpho Masemola, who was a young political prisoner. And he met Ahmed Kathrada and was very happy to have met this struggle veteran. And he says that Ahmed Kathrada was involved in setting up the Ex-Political Prisoners Association, and it's played quite a great role in the lives of those in prison. But something quite interesting as well is that when I spoke to Mpho Masemola, is that he spoke about Ahmed Kathrada being a very critical voice and not being afraid to speak the truth to power. And one of those anecdotes that he raised was the open letter that Ahmed Kathrada wrote to President Jacob Zuma, in where he said that the president should heed the call, and he should submit to the demands of the people, that he should resign. And at that time, when he released that open letter, it was the Ex-Political Prisoners Association, which was one of those organizations that said that Mr. Kathrada is out of order. He should have raised these issues within the ANC. And when I spoke to Derek Hanekom, who's the chairperson of the foundation, he said, quite interesting though, is that you have Kathrada, who was a critical voice within the party, but still remained committed and devoted to the ANC. And early on I was going through some archive footage of where Kathrada was leading campaigns. Even after he had raised his concerns with the ANC and its current leadership, he was leading the campaign ahead of the local government elections in Orange Farm, indicating that the ANC is the only movement for the people, saying that there is no other movement that he will go to. We spoke to Frini Jinwala about it as well, and Frini Jinwala said that you don't just walk away from the ANC, you don't just walk away when you're not happy with the status quo, you try to change things with inside. And she even asked me that, where else do you think I should go at this point, considering how old I am at this time? And I guess that Ahmed Kathrada was one of those people as well.
Absolutely. Aldrin, we'll touch base with you as soon as the press briefing gets underway. That is our reporter on the scene at the Thabo Mbeki Foundation out in Killarney.